Good morning, Richard. I hope you're well this Saturday morning.
Morning, Perry. How are you?
I'm all good, I'm all good. So, topic today, stuck in neutral. Does your home need to be beige to sell for the best price? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because you never know
Yeah.
whether to go all out colour or all out natural. So, whatever you have in your rooms, think first of the walls, because that's the thing, obviously, is the biggest part of a house, isn't it? Wise words and deeds from pattern and textile god William Morris. Nobody can actually criticise him for not having great designs and or being neutral. Don't know if you've seen his work, Richard, but it's very avant-garde, very
Yeah.
colourful, very in your face. His paints, his wallpaper, everything. So yeah, very colourful. So there's nothing neutral about him for sure. However, if you read any lifestyle articles, as we all do, on how you're selling your home, because everybody likes to prepare beforehand, don't they? You'll soon be told that buyers can't see past colour. Everybody wants to see a bit of it. But you need to avoid it if you want to ignite their passion. You can't be going overboard with it, and that's a key thing here as well. So we loved muted Scandi interiors as much as anybody else does, of course. But does your home really need it? And does it need to resemble a Danish coffee shop? I don't suppose it does really, to be honest. It wouldn't inspire me if it was like a Danish
No.
coffee shop. Wouldn't it feel very homely? And doesn't necessarily get you the highest price either. So that's something to think about. It doesn't have to look like that, but there are plenty colourful homes that sell fast and for good money. But there are some tricks to using colour for that perfect balance. And that's what's important here. It's about balance. And you want to have some self-expression there. You want to have saleable style, but it's about how do you get that right balance, isn't it? So we're going to talk about that. So with that in mind, we're going to dive
Yeah.
into the world of palettes and Pantones, look at what that looks like. We're going to look at the art of working with colour, where or when to keep things neutral, because there is times when it does work. Accessorising with colour, so that's totally my bag. Every time I do the shows and I see the word accessorising, I'm like, yay!
Yeah.
Adding colour to kitchens and bathrooms. What does it need to look like and how much should you use? Ideas for wallpapers and paints. How can you kind of get that balance? So whether it's a total makeover you think you need to do, or just maybe a feature wall, or a casual sprinkling of colour, this show today is going to give you some tips, hints, on how you could stamp and boost your home's value at the same time. So how do we start off then, Richard? The art of
Yeah.
working with colour. What does
You're
that look
totally
like?
right. Yeah. Colour's a good thing, but it can be overdone. It can be done like too much. And I think a lot, I mean, in the days of, like you say, beige and magnolia, I think they're kind of past. They're definitely past us. Um,
Magnolia is definitely Jim's favourite colour. He
yeah,
likes
yeah,
the
I know.
magnolia.
Well, we used and Lettings. We used to that was it was a magnolia and it was beige carpet. It's not this, but that's kind of gone. And greys are quite popular now. But I think it's always good to have quite a splash of colour. And there is an art to working with colour, and it
Mm-hmm.
can be tricky to kind of strike the correct balance with colours and tones. So you need to be careful. I mean, warm, cool, moody, bright. But fortunately, there's a simple tool to help you get it right every time. So I mean, there's things that you can follow, and the color wheel. Like think of the color wheel. I mean, that was invented in God, 1666 or something. It was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Isaac Newton that done that. It was
Mm-hmm.
Sir Isaac Newton that done the color wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And while studying like lights and prisms and things,
Mm-hmm.
he discovered that there's a spectrum of color, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing to follow when you're trying to find color schemes and things when you're decorating a home.
It
Um,
really is. Even if you
and
go into like a B&Q or lots of other hardware shops out there, by the way, plenty of other brands. But if you go
yeah,
into B&Q, for instance, if you walk down the paint aisles, there's always got those like pull-outs that haven't you with all the different kind of color spectrums on
yeah,
there, and it really does give you a good insight. I've been into some houses. You go in and literally the walls are white, and they're saying we're in the middle of decorating. We're not quite sure what we're going to do. And the next thing you go into one of the rooms and there's like just a brush stroke of like 5 different colors.
all the different colors. Yeah,
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, say they're going for blue or grey, as you've mentioned, Richard. It's like 5 different slices of grey, and you're thinking, well, actually, when you just see it a little bit like that, you're not always sure if the colours are different. And it's all very well seeing a little spot of it versus a whole wall covered with it, isn't it?
yeah.
Makes a big, big difference. So we
Yeah,
talk about colours and colour wheels. Where can you get those, and what are they for people that don't know, Richard?
yeah. I mean, a colour wheel costs about, oh God, less than about £10, and it shows you like the primary and secondary and tertiary colours, and they sit side by side, like you say. People do it on their walls and things, and that's how it's a good way to obviously see how they relate to each other, and you could bounce colours off each other. And I mean, that's kind of a guide. Um, it's a guide of innocuous colours that blend to create an immediate sense of kind of harmony in a room, I think, while complementary schemes push individual colours to the forefront, like if you do like feature walls and things like that as well. And they have like a high contrast as well when you do that. So an interior designer's trick is to take their favourite shade, or pick a colour from the pattern you love. Like if you show them a pattern and things when you're trying to decorate a room, or think like get a theme and things as well. And then they use the colour wheel to build from that and use and get a perfect look.
Do you know, it's a really good way to do it, actually. I wasn't really into statement walls, and I know we're going to kind of cover that, but
Yeah.
just while we're on colour wheels and like picking a bit of colour out of maybe a wallpaper, as you've said, I wasn't really into it until I went into East Green when we sold that one in Anstruther.
Yeah.
And Marjorie had just had this beautiful statement wall in the bathroom. It was just big green ferns, and it was just so beautiful that when we moved house, when we downsized a couple of years ago, that was me. I was all over the statement wall, and we've actually got a statement wall in our kitchen, and it sounds minging, but it's not. It looks really great, but it's basically ferns, but it's got like parrots and cockatoos on it, and they're all
No,
different colours.
I've seen yours and it works. Yeah, it does.
Right. And they're all different colours, but one of the colours that you don't see much in it actually was the mustardy colour, which I loved. And we got a new dining set, so we got a glass dining set with like kind of silver legs, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, how can we jazz it up a little, because the rest of the kitchen, like the cabinets are grey and the walls were kind of quite neutral, and I thought we need something to inject to bring the wallpaper to life. And actually what we did was the chairs that we got, which are kind of steel chairs, but we got them with mustard coverings on them, so they're like mustard leather, and it
And then you pick
honestly
out that
really
wee bit and the
totally pulls it out of the wallpaper, and it looks fantastic. Ollie came down yesterday, and he hasn't seen it yet, and he was like, "God, Mum," he says, "that really works." So I was kind of like this. I was like one of the parents.
that was me. That was me.
I was watching, but it kind of does go back to what you said there, and it is a real good way of like jazzing up a room. But actually, it's a functional thing that I've got because I needed a table and chairs, but it's really made it look great.
Yeah.
Might be a problem if I've changed the statement wall right enough, but we'll worry about that when it comes to it.
Yeah, but no, that works, and I've seen it. I know what you mean. It does work. That's good.
Yeah, really pulls it to life.
Yeah, because I think there's a certain knack to using colours, and especially like if you've got a designer or you're using the colour wheel yourself. But there's books and there's YouTube tutorials and things that help you become a lot better at mixing and matching. And not to mention, obviously, the go-to interior designer for your friends and things. That's what you'll end up, because like yourself, you find yourself like, oh, like you're saying, you've done your kitchen. You're like, oh, that was me. And then when people come and see that, they'll be like, oh, do you know how? Like, and they'll come to you for. I mean, like me, I've got kind of my own tastes and kind of mix things together as well. And a lot of my friends are like, oh, how did you do that? And it's like, and you end up you kind of become your own designer yourself.
It's like, even when we're talking about colour, there's other ways to bring colour into it. And actually, one of the things I love that you've done in your place, and I'd never seen it anywhere before, is when you come down your stairs, and then you know how you generally have that plain wall where your kind of ceiling comes down, and you've put that mirror there, and I just think that looks fantastic. And
well,
actually,
I stole that for someone else. I stole it.
Did
The house we sold. Oh God, it was a few years ago now, and I come down the stairs and it just opens the whole stairway up. So yeah, that's where I stole that from.
It looks great, but what it's done as well, though, is it's given an extra colour, because it's obviously everything's bounced off the mirror, so it's creating a bit of an illusion there as well. So that's quite a clever way to do it as well.
Yeah, because when I bought our place, I just felt like it just needed opened up a lot, and mirrors was the way to do it in this area. So
definitely, it looks great. So we're kind of talked about colour there, but there are times where to stay neutral. So it's a really good opportunity to kind of go neutral, to add colour. So while a classic camel coat or a crisp white shirt underpin many a wardrobe, We all have them. I've got one. You've got one.
Yeah.
Keeping it neutral in certain areas of your home gives your decor the leading role without actually being upstaged with everything else that you're doing. So when I talk about that, what I'm meaning is things that including things like, timber floors with oak and walnut in living areas. That always looks really nice. So that's nice to
I
have that
love
neutral.
walnut, yeah.
I do. And it really makes it look great, doesn't it? I don't know if you saw the pre-portal I did yesterday for 4 Donaldson's Court. And they've got
That's actually, yeah.
the timber flooring through that house. Again, very neutral, statement wall that gives the colour. But that beautiful flooring all the way through that property, that's when that colour and wood and naturalness comes to life, doesn't it? And it really looks great in that property.
Yeah.
You can look for sizzle or coir matting as well. Again, it's a bit of a natural feel to it, especially for high traffic areas like hallways and stairs. It's good to do that as well. Deep piles or Berber carpets for chic and cosy in the bedrooms, which actually this one had. I also, to kind of go into another property, I was doing viewings yesterday at 14 Dove Street in Cellardyke.
Oh, I heard you talking about that.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. And the person that was doing the person beautifully decorated throughout, lovely statement pieces. And one of the biggest things that the viewer spoke about was how beautiful the carpeting was.
Yeah.
Every room she went in, she said, "Oh, look at the pile on the carpet. I love the stairs. Oh, look at the one of the rooms has got a tartan carpet in it," which I know sounds like, oh, but it looks really great in the little, in the snug where the log burner is and all that kind of stuff. And it looked really great. So there are ways to make your rooms chic and cozy, especially in bedrooms as well with the piles carpet. Other ways of doing it, you can tiles and natural finishes for floors, walls and splashbacks. Kind of stone colours are quite nice. Marble's a nice thing. You do get variance on marble as well, because marble can be expensive and you don't want to be going out there and spending a lot of money.
Marble could be obviously expensive, we know that, but it could also be a bit overpowering, I think, as well. It's nice to have I think you get, I've seen wet walls and things that are marble and it just takes over. And I think where you get like a really fine marble, like the grey, like the grain in between it, and I think that looks really nice. But you could overdo it with marble. It's one to watch.
You definitely need to be careful. And not just how it looks either, actually. It can be quite a cold looking product as well, can't it?
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to have that kind of cozy feel, sometimes you don't always get that from marble. But actually it does have a place. Like I love it in kitchens, if you've got what I would call the bunker, the worktop, if you're if you're able to like do a marble
bunker, it's a Fife thing, I think.
It's a total Fife thing. But to have a marble bunker, I mean, that's high end, isn't it? It does look beautiful in kitchens. Cement grey is a big thing.
The worktop quite a lot.
Say that again.
I need to correct myself and say worktop quite a lot.
Oh, and to
instead of bunker, yeah.
It's bunker.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with golf.
No, I think it was Anne Marie, and Anne Marie's obviously the down south. And I started talking to her one day, and I referred to the bunker, and she did not have a clue what I was talking about.
It's very much a Fife word for sure.
Yeah,
but definitely. Actually, it does look good. Other colours as well that are kind of quite neutral are cement greys. We're seeing, you mentioned grey earlier, we're seeing still quite a lot of that.
A lot of my house is grey.
It's staying in though, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And I think it's one that you can mix and match. And then you can go with like the classic, hand glazed whites as well. They always look really nice. I mean, pretty much I've gone with white and then statement walls throughout my whole house.
A lot of people do that, and you, like you say, it's the colour thing. It's like finding the right statement colour or something to inject that kind of like feel into the room. And white's a good thing to do. God, my gran used to do that. It was like everything was white, and then she would bring colour in it and put things on the walls and things as well. And it's true what you say about kitchen worktops and things, or the bunker as we refer to it, like natural wood and granite and resin's really like a good one that's quite in as well. And again, marble and reconstituted, like the stone colour. And
that's nice.
And they do give like that, it's durability and it's like timeless kind of style, those things as well. And they've got quite a universal appeal. I mean, everybody kind of resonates with them.
And I think that's a really positive statement you're making there, actually, because again, at Dove Street, they have that. It was a universal appeal for how everything else was done, and it was really accessorised well, which I think brought the property to life. I think one of the things that, and you'll show my age here now, but certainly one of the things I noticed in the 80s, because in the 80s, grey and red were the two colours.
Yeah.
But actually used to accessorise the house to death, literally out of itself. It was like the kettle was red, the toaster was red, the microwave was red, the cups were red, the mats were red. People can accessorize like too far. And
Yeah.
actually then it doesn't become, when you're talking about how it looks kind of a universal appeal, that doesn't then become universally appealing, does it? That becomes
No.
very much a personal
So
thing.
overpowering, yeah.
Yeah. And you want things to be personal. You're living in your home. But sometimes, you know, if you're in that market where you're looking to put your property up for sale and move on, your main focus is, you know, getting the property sold so you can move on to your next stage, isn't it? And sometimes you do need to depersonalize things.
Yeah, that is the key. I think when you're thinking about selling, or you're putting your property in the market, you really need to depersonalize, and people have a lot of their own tastes in their house, and that's fine, like you say, you live in it. But I think if you're trying to appeal to the wider market and show people what the property can be, or give them kind of not a blank canvas, but how it could be for them, you need to really depersonalize it. And you can inject colour and things to do that, but you need to, there's a balance, there definitely is.
Yeah. 100% there's a balance. It was funny because yesterday we were going through the property, and the viewer was like, oh my god, I love that, I love that, I love that, I wish I'd bought my bag. And we actually had got quite a good rapport, and I said to her, well, when you leave, I said, I'll be doing a shakedown. She just absolutely loved everything about the house, which was great. But yeah, so it is about kind of that universal appeal, because you want people to kind of visualize. It's all about that engagement and visualization of, would this work for me and how does it feel, especially because of how we market. You know, you've got the beautiful photographs, you've got detailed description, you've got all the measurements of the rooms, but the video work, the pre-photo launch, the personal property tour, you're seeing everything about the house. So really they're then just coming in to feel it, aren't they? And if it's appealing, then actually it has that positive, they're already 95% into the property in their mind before they walk through the door. And it's just that tick box, does it feel good? And if you've got that universal appeal when you come in and that homely, warm feeling, and giving them the ability to say, actually, not necessarily for me, but I can make that work because the rest of it's great. You know, it's about doing that, isn't it? And ticking that big box.
Yeah, you'll know as much as I do when people turn up to viewings, they feel like they've already met you and looked at the property because you're on the video. And the video is quite like, they are very interactive, and they're quite like, we go in cupboards and, you know, show you all of that. So it's like you say, when people come to a viewing, they're basically just coming to see it again. So if you've got the right colour scheme and set up and that feel, do you know what I mean? Whether it's like what we've spoke about, like different times of year and having the fire on and just creating that atmosphere, it's captured in the video. And also you need to have that same feeling when they arrive for the viewing, because they want it to be what they've seen already in the video.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's key actually for the seller to have that engagement and strong relationship with their agent, because actually the seller then knows how to stage their property as well to get the best from the viewer. And the bottom line is, it's all about negotiation and getting the biggest number you can at the end of the day. That's what the seller wants. And actually yesterday it was totally captured, because it's a 3-bedroom, it's a 3-floor townhouse, this one.
Yeah.
And on the mid floor is where the snug and also the main room is. And I had obviously gone there to prepare the house and get all the lights on and make sure everything was ready beforehand, which is again a top tip. But when I was there, as soon as I opened the door, the client was very clever because they'd lit the log burner. So as soon as you open the door, you could see the crackling and the red embers and the heat that was in the room. And actually, it's the first thing that was commented when the person went into that room, was how
it definitely does.
it was. Yeah. So it's all about staging, isn't it? And that's what we're kind of talking about the neutrals and getting the best that you can. So absolutely, you want it to be universally appealing. Taps and brushed metal as well, when you're seeing that in kitchens and bathroom, are more hard wearing than lacquered finishes. They have a bit of appeal to them as well, where they're maybe a little bit more luxurious, and they're less prone as well to nicks and changes in colour trends. So I think it's important to look at that as well. Was in a property the other week there, and actually all the taps, it was like kind of bronzed copper. It was beautiful. And actually you could have then any colour of suite would go with it. It was really great. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, you're trying to find things like it's finding the balance with something that's hard wearing and will stand the test of time, but will also stay in trend as well. Yeah,
exactly. So power sockets and switches sounds a really dull thing, but actually, do they matter?
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, I mean, power sockets and switches and things, and either like the standard white, or you get obviously, like you said, the brushed metal, or you get chrome and things as well. Or even just like painting radiators as well. Do you know the amount of properties I've been in? And you cut and yellow radiators hate it. I hate it. It's like a total pet hate. Yellow radiators and things as well. So yeah, and get them to maybe match the paintwork or the woodwork, and or even just have them a nice fresh white colour. And you get these nice spray. You get the spray cans that do radiators as well, and it just, do you know, you'll know as well as I do, is a lick of paint and maybe fresh carpets and think the world of good to a room and a property. They just bring it right back out of where it was.
Especially where you are, Richard, on the letting side of things, because you want obviously the tenant, potential tenant, to come in and see what that's going to function for. You know, sellers maybe don't want to go to the expense necessarily of putting new radiators in or painting radiators or changing carpets, but there are ways to kind of neutralise the room and make it nice. One of the other things as well, if you don't want to go into the kind of streams of painting radiators, because again, I've seen it when I go in and they're painting the radiators and the thermostat's all covered in paint and there's bits on the skirt ends, and that can really put buyers off because it looks shoddily done, and then they start to question, well, what else is it, right? One of the things we've done, because where we live, it's the storage heaters that are in these properties. So what we did when we moved in is you can get all the high-tech ones and you can change them out. And I'm not saying people are going to want to go to that expense, but you could change them out. But before we were in a position where we could do that, because obviously it's, you know, you don't come in and change everything at once. It kind of takes time as well. Yeah. But what you can get for radiators, if you don't want to kind of be changing them or painting them, is those covers. So it's basically like an MDF frame, but they can look quite classy, and you get lovely white ones. And actually you can use it as a feature in a room as well. So you can put like nice pictures or ornaments or vases or smellies on them. You know,
I know.
And really jazz it up without giving yourself much work. You get them in Argos and Home Bargains and all that kind of places. They're not majorly expensive, but nice and quick as well.
And yeah, it definitely just lifts the whole room just by having something simple like that. And you're right, in lettings it's totally like that. And there's just all these small things that you could do that just completely change an entire room. And even if it is just spraying the radiator white again rather than yellow, and do you know, it's just those little things, and it's all down to colour and how much and how much it could just change an entire room and give it a completely different feel.
I would completely agree. So power sockets, definitely switches, as you said. You want all the woodwork to kind of blend in, but if you're going to have sockets and switches, top tip, give them a clean down, especially if you've got metal ones. There's nothing worse, especially if you've got, you know, young gentlemen in your home and they're doing all the waxing and stuff, and then they go and put the lights off, and then you've got the big fingers marks right down the metal. So
I've just done chrome plug sockets and switches and things in my kitchen, and I have now learned that they need cleaned very often, because you obviously notice it, and those are the little things that people, if they're viewing your property, they're going to pick up on straight away. And although like that's fine, it could wipe down, it's just if it's not there, it's not something that's in their thought process. So it's, do you know, and it's all those wee things, and if there's a lot of these little things, they'll mount up, and it could change their thought process when thinking about buying a property. Definitely.
Absolutely, because you want it to feel loved and looked after, and actually it's really easy to do, and it's that attention to detail that people are looking for. The best thing for cleaning the chrome ones, Richard, if you've not already worked it out, is the Mr. Muscle glass spray and paper towel. Quick spray. They're great. That's what I use. Anyway, accessorizing with colour. This is me. So we've done the neutral bit. If you like neutral, you have it. Colour. If you want to avoid the upheaval of major decorating work, but still transform the look and the colour of your rooms, accessorizing is the answer to create your dream theme. How do you do that? Textiles is the first thing. What does that look like, textiles, for you?
Textiles could really, they could really add colour and design to any room, and we know that obviously from whether it's like your curtains and your cushions and rugs and like all your soft furnishings and like throws, and bedding's quite a big thing now. You see it on social media quite a lot, how people have got a lot of cushions and pillows and throws, and you know, have their and upholstery and things on furniture, and you know, there's lots of ways to do that. Textiles are a really good way to really bring that poppy colour and bring that room really up to date and resonate with people and make it feel homely. Definitely.
I would agree. Another really quick and easy way to do it as well is art's a fast and fun way to express your taste, isn't it? And add colour. You know, you can get from original paintings to stylish prints, or even your own photos. Don't go overboard with that one, though, would be my recommendation. It can be a bit too much, so it's about getting the right balance. But with nice frames that add the extra style to the property as well. From trad to rad, you know, traditional to radical, you can really kind of make it very different depending on how you want to do it, and it makes such a big difference. Did the pre-portrait 5C toll booth wind in Crail yesterday, and when you go into their entrance porch, you can't actually see it when you first go in as such, but then once you go upstairs and look back down, it's literally floor right up to the rooftop of the house. It's huge, the space that's there. And what they have done, because there's a window right at the top that lets in lots of light, they've put a kind of boat on there. But actually, the way that the window is, when you look through it, you can just see the treetops and everything. So there's lots of green came, and then there was a big space of white. But then there was little pictures in white frames, but they were like seascapes and boats, and as you would expect, because it's kind of a seasidey town. But it popped so much colour just on this really large white wall, and it made such a difference. So it was a nice little way of kind of tweaking it and making it nice, because it was neutral flooring.
Yeah, rather than having some like big artwork or painting, it was just small, and they did the job. Yeah, and I've seen kind of similar. I know, obviously I've not seen what you done yesterday. I've never seen that one, but I could see what you mean. Like that small frames on a big wall done properly could actually have a really good effect. And I think it's the same with like things like ceramics and glassware and books on books set out. It's quite a common thing now as well. It's quite a trendy thing to do, and even like maps on the wall and lamps and candlesticks, and there's lots of ways to do that. And they're all quick and easy ways to add colour and cover up any corner or surface, and you know what I mean, rather than just leaving it bare, but just to kind of and they're really quick and easy ways to do that.
Yeah. One of the things that I saw the other day that I'd never seen anywhere before, and again, it was quite a roomy upper hallway, and all the bedrooms were on this level, and the doors were white, but the rooms had plaques on the doors.
Yeah.
On the outside. And one of the rooms, just to give you an example, was called the Coos Suite. COOS, as in how we would say Coos in Scotland in Fife. And it's called the Coos Suite on this plaque. But actually what they then had, because it was quite high ceilings in the hallway, is above the doorway, they actually had, it was like a stuffed toy, if you like. You know how you get like mounted stag heads and things like that you would see?
Yes.
But it was kind of like that on a smaller scale, but it was materially made, and it was a coo. And it was above the room. And then the next room was called the Ram Suite. And then it had the ram. And then it was such a great idea. And actually, the person that viewed it was like, that is really brilliant. What a great idea. I'd never seen it before. But it was a real way of keeping things neutral, but adding a bit of character and a bit of personality, if you like. And the people were engaged and thought, this is fantastic. You know, we talk about emotive, don't we?
Yes,
sight,
definitely.
Sound, taste, smell, and it's one of those things. As soon as the person looked at it, they were like, oh my god, isn't that fantastic? So straight away they've got this euphoric, happy feeling about that house, something they'll always remember,
something that resonates with them and reminds them, like, oh, and it kind of gives it an individuality, but not making it too personal at the same time.
Exactly. And I think at the moment, as we saw with the shows that we've been recently doing about, you know, the amount of property that's coming to market, the transactions, the UK price index that was out yesterday. If you look at those kind of things, and we know that sellers are competing more for the buyers. So it's little things like that that sellers need to kind of put into place that makes their house stand out from the others, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, and I think a couple of bonus points as well as transforming like your rooms, photos and view-ins and accessories are entirely portable, meaning that your investment can move with you whenever you sell, so that you could put all these things in place and really bring the place. But then when you move on, you take it all with you. It's quite easy just to lift it all and bring it. Like when I talk about ceramics and candles and all these bits and pieces that give it that feel, you can still always take them with you. It's not something. It's not an investment that you're putting in and having to leave there. You have them to take with you and incorporate in your new place.
Exactly. So it's not an expense, as you say, that you've got that you're not going to get a return on. You'll get the return from the fact that you sold your house, but you also get the return from you can enjoy them in your new place, which is great. So that's one way of doing things. So accessorizing is great. But actually adding colour to kitchens and bathrooms, we spoke about that briefly earlier on, but I think that's a real good topic. The rooms with the highest concentration of value in any home,
They
we
are.
know this for a fact, are the kitchens and the bathrooms. They're the rooms, I don't know about you, Richard, but I describe those rooms as the big ticket item.
Yeah.
Because if
They are.
they're done well, the person viewing that's thinking, right, that 10,000 I was going to use to do the kitchen, I don't need to.
I don't
That
need to do
8,000 I
that.
was going to use to do
Yeah.
the bathroom, I don't need to. Because then suddenly they can make compromises because they can invest that money somewhere else in the home if things don't quite tick all the boxes. So they are really the big rooms that take a lot of action as well. And the centre of every home is a kitchen, isn't it? I know growing up, everyone was in the kitchen. In my
Everybody's
home,
always in the kitchen. Yeah.
absolutely, it's always happening there, and daily everybody's using bathrooms, aren't they? So they are definitely the most costliest areas to replace. So if you get those right, it's really great for your buyers. So if you want to do more than paint the walls, we've got a couple of tips for using colours in ways that add value and inspire buyers, while giving them options for easy and inexpensive changes. And I think that's the key thing here.
Yeah.
Anyone who's kind of watching this, and by all means, if you've got any questions, please ask. Again, afterwards, if you're watching this on rerun, post your questions, we can come back to you.
Yeah, we'll
But the
come
key
back to
thing,
you.
yeah, the key thing here is not to be thinking that, God, it's going to cost me thousands of pounds to sell my house. It's not. It's about how you do it in a smart way, isn't it?
I think as well, a lot of people, they think about kitchens. Let's take kitchens, for example. And people want to just, I mean, if the layout of the kitchen is fine, you don't need to take the whole kitchen out. Kitchen cupboards and drawers and fronts and things, they are interchangeable. And if you've got good carcasses and a good set and a good layout and think, right, well, I don't want to change the layout, and the cupboards and things that are there are solid enough, then you can change the fronts. And do it in a consistently popular colour. And there's colours like kitchens now, like navy and sapphire and teal and sage, and do you know what I mean? Even sometimes like racing green and things like that, and even charcoal black is also, I mean, you do run the risk to try and find the balance between having something that's on trend but will stand the test of time as well.
Yeah.
I think
But
that's really important.
what you're saying there, though, Richard, even if the carcasses are fine and you're looking at maybe replacing doors, there's an even more economical way to do this. I did it in my last home to prepare the house for selling, and I'm sure there's other companies out there, but the company that I used was AS Designs, based in Kirkcaldy. They come out and basically they can vinyl wrap anything.
Oh, it's the kitchen wraps, right? Okay. Yeah.
So they can, but they do more than that now. So not only can you like vinyl wrap the kitchen doors, they can put vinyl splashbacks, they can wrap vanity units in bathrooms. It's fantastic.
That's
Very
great, yeah.
economical as well. Very, very economical. And we did it. We had the original wooden doors that have the grooves in them. I can't remember what the actual formal name is for them, but basically what they do.
Shaker.
That's it, a shaker. And what they basically did was they just took all of the cabinetry off, the doors wise and drawers wise, and they put a really, really thin, it's like millimetre thin, metal plate so that it gets that flushness, and then literally wrap them, bring them all back, hang them up. And literally I went from a shaker cabinet in brown that was really dull to a spanking white new kitchen.
Yeah. I've seen some of them done on social media, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that's like, and it's the exact same units. It's just obviously that complete facelift, and does
Makes it look fantastic.
Like you're saying, you done it to sell your last property.
Yeah, I actually used that on purpose to sell the house because I thought it's a big kitchen, big utility area. People are going to want it to be modern, and it was minimal cost for us to do it. And Jim did a fantastic job selling our house.
Yeah.
That actually it paid for itself tenfold. It was just such a great thing to have done. So yeah, kitchens are a big thing. Covers, doors, cabinetry. But painting the outside of freestanding metal baths when going to the bathrooms, I see a lot of people doing that as well. The freestanding baths, fantastic. It'll give you an immediate shot of colour that's striking. It's memorable as well, and it's simple to switch, easy to change. Like you said, if you go down a specific route, easy to change that colour up, isn't it? If you go too bold. And they just look so nice, don't they? And I've seen them where they've like maybe been gold or black, and then you've got the silver feet because they've got the clock feet on them, some of the like real traditional ones. And you get a lot of those along the East Neuk from the original bathrooms, and they just look fantastic.
yeah, the roll tops and things is good, and it's a really good way, because you could paint them and they could be painted over and they could be changed, but it's a good way to kind of create like that theme and inject colour into the bathroom, and they look very, very like stylish. And I think I've seen like a deep purple one recently. I'm trying to think where that was, and I thought, God, and it had the silver, like you say, the silver feet and things, and it looked really good.
Yeah, it does. It looks fantastic. It's very memorable and striking, as we say. And again, it's about standing out from the crowd, isn't it?
Yeah.
But splashbacks are good as well. So again, you're in your kitchens, splashbacks, you can get nice glass ones. They're sleek. They're a way to add a blast of colour as well, because you can get them in a variety of colours. You know, I've seen beautiful mustard ones, or you can actually get ones that are not just like a fixed colour. You can get them with fruits or vegetables on them, flowers on them, like real big blasts of colour. Yeah, they really look nice, don't they? So it gives you a real blast of colour behind your sinks, behind your hobs. Can be swapped out easy again for another colour. You can even vinyl wrap them, so you don't need to take them off the walls, which is a big plus if you don't want the mess. And they're far easier as well than having to change tiles. That could be a messy job.
Tiles are difficult from experience, and they are the tiles. I mean, just like I think when I take my tiles down, I'm going to be doing wet wall and things, but tiles I think are nice and the right, obviously depending on what kind of theme you're going for. I do like the kind of metro tile and things as well, but some tiles, and if they're not done properly, they're so hard to take off, and tiles can be difficult, and wet wall is really a lot more on trend now as well, and I think it's so much more easy kept, easy maintenance, and it looks a lot cleaner and kind of clean cut like finish and things as well. So yeah, tiles are my bugbear at the moment. But anyway, that's my own personal experience.
I would agree. You know, that's the last room that we have to do in our house is our bathroom, and the tiles that are on there at the moment, I'm so looking forward to them going. But like you, I'm kind of dreading it, because I think that the minute we start taking them off, are we going to actually end up with holes in the walls, and then before you know it, you're going to have to reboard everything, and I can just see it getting more and more expensive.
I'll end up a complete rip out and start again thing. Yeah.
That might end up happening for us, I must admit. But anyway, you can do it that way with backsplashes, and that can save you quite a bit of cash as well, and a lot of time. So that's one way of getting a real big splash. But ultimately, it's about thinking of the most flexible areas for changes that would give the effect of a complete remodel as well, because that's the key here. You want it to look like it's all new and interesting at the right time.
You want to do the small things that are like the minimal kind of upheaval and changes in cost that are going to have the maximum effect, and I think that's the important thing.
100%. But also, it's not just about that. It's about the least disruption. You don't want to create additional mess and bigger job for yourself. And it's the financial outlay. And that's what we're talking about. We don't want people to feel that they're having to go there and spend tens of thousands of pounds to get the house ready. It defeats the purpose.
There's so much you could do that's cost effective that has a big impact. And things like the wallpaper and paint are just that, like we say, like doing that feature wall, or having just a fresh coat of paint, or even just putting a new floor cover and things down. Things like that have such a big impact. And paint is really a quick, cheap and effective way to change an entire personality of a room completely. And a fresh coat can give you a completely new lease of life in a room, and any home, and especially with you've got like high quality products. So paint, I mean, the cost of paint, obviously, recent decorating, I've noticed it's went up, but it pays to pay just that wee bit more just for that good quality paint, because it does have such a better finish, and you can tell when you walk into a room when it's finished completely like that.
I agree. I think, you get some really great premium brands out there. Include chalk paints of like Annie Stone's paints, deep pigments, the Fenwick and Tilbrook. They're really lovely paintworks, but like you say, it can add to your budget. But if all you're having to do is paint and nothing else, then that's great. But you've got this reassuring heritage as well, like Faro and Ball. Their paints are lovely as well. But it's about how you do it and how many rooms you do it to, and it's about the statement rooms. It's about the big ticket rooms. It's about your kitchens, your bedrooms, your bathrooms. Pretty much all of the rooms are going to need something, but you don't necessarily need to be going that high end with all of the rooms. But the statement rooms is where you really want to get it right, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think as well as you could paint an entire room, that's fine, but you can really achieve a dramatic effect with just a single wall, or I think like bold colour and things like you say, like your kitchen with that wall.
Yeah.
And even whether it's like maybe over a fireplace or it's behind shelves or
Mhm.
it's the backdrop, maybe you've got pictures on the wall. Do you know, I think something to make that that feature
Mhm.
really does have that effect.
Yeah, I think it does do. It's interesting because one of my sons, he's recently moved and they've done that in the bedroom. So where the original fireplace would be, you've got like a bit of a prominent wall. And what they've done is that actually they've just wallpapered the recess part of it and left the other parts. And it really does make a big statement, but it's not been expensive because they've not had to do all of the walls. So it's been really nice and added a real good pop of colour. But yeah, you're right. You don't need to necessarily do an entire room. You can just do certain walls, which make it nice. Aside from on your walls, though, you can use paint to freshen furnishings like your chairs, your tables, wardrobes, chests of drawers, or accessories like picture frames and mirrors.
Yeah,
So
it's like
you don't necessarily need to replace things. If you've got something that's timber and you want to kind of jazz it up a bit of colour, just paint it. Don't get rid of the mirror and buy a new one.
yeah, you see that a lot now, and it's like people that they upcycle, and it's
A lot
furniture
of
and
them.
things, and like you see about chalk paints and things, yeah, and you can make things look amazing. And
Mhm.
you see a lot of like there's a lot of wee boutique kind of shops and things that do it as well. I think is it Love Restored? Is Love Restored still in Falkland?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. That does things like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, and that chalk paint on old furniture and really bringing it back into trend is
Mhm.
something that's really popular and looks
Mhm.
amazing. And you could do that. You know, I mean, if you've got old furniture in your
Mhm.
house and you think, God, it could if you just upcycle things, and
Yeah.
that could be a really cheap way to make things look really great.
It is. It's an inexpensive way to do it, isn't it? And actually, while we're talking about other stores, if you've maybe gone too minimalist and you're wanting to bring things into the rooms to make the rooms feel lived in more, and accessorize a bit more with cabinetry and things like that, one of the
Yeah,
great shops locally, I'm talking locally for me, is in Leven. So
Jenna,
Genovese
I know you were
Leven.
going to say Jenna Mays. I know you like that.
Genovese Old and Vintage in Leven on
Yeah,
Commercial Street at the old post office building. Honest to God, there's so many great things in there. But actually, we'll do things like individual chairs or maybe two chairs,
yeah,
and they are like antique pieces and they're
yeah.
vintagey. So they maybe need a little bit of TLC, but there's so much you could do with them. Buy a little pot of paint, you go in there, you're not spending the price for like a brand new piece of furniture.
Hmm.
It's secondhand, so it's really commercially priced well. And you can create something that's unique to your home as well that no one else is going to have.
Yeah,
And I think that's a real big thing to do as well, is to make sure that you can kind of stand out for the crowd, is what we're talking about here, but actually doing it on a minimal budget.
yeah,
So going to stores like that where you can buy something is just going to add so much value. Yes, it's an investment of time because you're going to need to take the time to do it, but actually the end result will just be
yeah,
fantastic. We talk about wallpaper as well. It's really interesting because our Karen and myself, we kind of moved at the same time, didn't we? She bought
yeah,
her house
yeah,
when I downsized. And we were talking about all the decorating we were doing, and I was taking, like Karen did, I was taking a lot of before and afters. And I've said to her, look at it, because our house, it was just dark paint throughout every single room. I mean,
yeah.
oh, it was so dark, it was horrific. So we painted everything white and then like literally all walls, and then just decided to do
And
statement
then
walls.
work from there. Yeah,
And I was showing it to Karen, and I thought I was quite tough on myself actually, because like Karen's on trend and she's like all chic
yeah,
and everything. I'm a bit of an oldie, so I never said, well, this is what it was like beforehand, and this is what it looks like now. And she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. That's wallpaper I've just put in my bedroom. So the two of us had
yeah,
exactly
exactly.
the same paper. So I thought, oh well, maybe my taste isn't too bad then.
Yeah, you know you're still on trend when you're keeping up with the young ones.
Exactly. So I was well tough with myself. But it's what you said there about things being timeless. You can
Yeah,
kind of add that pop of colour, and make a room look great without being out of season, if you like, for
yeah.
want
And
of
I
a
think
better word.
if you've got that feature wall or feature color or something that if it does go off a trend, it's easily changed and cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and you know you could do that quite
Yeah,
cost effectively, cheaply as
exactly.
well.
It's like a roll and a half or two rolls of paper. So
Yeah,
you could go, when we're talking about these bold ones, and going for like the Farrow balls and the Fenwick Tilbrooks, you could kind of go to the Laura Ashley's or whatever, and get like two rolls of paper, because it's not costing you a fortune. You're not buying like 10 rolls at like 30-40 pounds. So you can make it look really, really nice, make a big difference.
yeah,
But yeah, I think the whole accessorizing piece again as well, I think is really important, as we say. And painting around old mirrors is great, and just being a bit more creative. And actually, simple things as well. And I don't know if you did that when you're talking there, Richard, about recently decorating, and I've done it because we've changed rooms around. But actually, I've gone into one room and I thought, that doesn't really work in here. And then you take it and you put it in another room and you go,
Yeah.
why didn't I put it here to begin with? It looks fantastic.
I'm always moving things from one room to another, and it works, and it's fine. And it's like, because a lot of people have these pieces in certain areas of their home and think, and they might get rid of them, and it's really, if you move it to another room, and do you know, and that actually works. So yeah, I'm quite bad for redecorating and moving things around, and you know that anyway. But
Upcycling and recycling is good. You don't necessarily go rushing out to the stores and buying lots of stuff either. So I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. There's good ways of you managing to make your home look great. So yeah, accessorize with your picture frames and mirrors is a good thing. But of course, paint isn't the only home decor solution, is it? Wallpapers, as we said, can deliver equally eye-catching results for a feature wall. Glamorous loos, I've talked about the one at East Green already.
yeah,
Upcycling furniture, we've talked about that. It's a real great way of doing it. I have a friend who's really big into it. She goes to a lot of antique fairs and is really into upcycling, and kind of does it as a semi-retirement business.
yeah,
And it's a great way to do it. And you see some of the things that she upcycles, and I'm like, that's falling to bits. And then next thing you know, it's got this beautiful seat on it, and all the cushions are great, and it's been reupholstered. And she'll even like buy material from secondhand places and think, oh, that's an old curtain. I can use that and make a beautiful chair. And it's like, ta-da! She's got all this imagination.
yeah. Do you know, you say about like the glamorous loos as well, and I've seen a lot now, and it's like if people have got that small WC or whatever just at the entrance hallway or whatever, or maybe off the back of the utility, and they have it, and you walk in and it's like, wow, and it's like, it's meant to just be like a small WC, and you go in and it's just really tastefully done. That could be a good selling point as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess a bit of finalish words on this one, but for me, I think the key thing for me message is that just take a wee step back. Don't think it's a major project that you're doing. You're not fully renovating a home. All you're doing is thinking out, how can I make this look its best? We talked earlier on, you can go online. There's so many tips.
Yeah.
TikTok at the moment, everyone's on their phones. We spend 80% of our lives on these. Go into TikTok. You can find things in there. You can buy beautiful magazines. You can go online and have a look at things as well. Give yourself some good ideas. But create an idea and then try to minimize it and make the house nice. Because again, as I say, you don't want to be spending loads of money, but there's real nice, and I hope we've given you some tips about how you can do that, especially with like the big ticket items like kitchens and things. You don't need a new kitchen, just vinyl wrap it, or get some nice chalk paints and paint it. There's various ways that you can do it. But the link to the article will be in this post. If anybody's interested, wanting some top tips that we maybe haven't covered, or actually, you know what, if you're out there, like Linda Martin, for instance, if you're watching this,
Linda does some really, really on trend renovations. She's really good at it.
Very on point with trends and renovations. If you've got some top tips, Linda, that we've not even spoken about, if you want to share it on the show, make some comments. We can share it with our viewers and our engagement interaction. It's a great way to do that. So for me, it's about, don't panic, take a deep breath, make it simplistic, make it nice, and make it appeal to everyone. And you can still enjoy it and move it to your next house, as you say, Richard.
Yeah.
What's your final thoughts, Richard?
Yeah, I think it's really about trying to make the property as appealing as it can be to buyers, at the same time being cost effective. And people might be a bit lost and be like, look, I don't know what's on trend, and I don't know. There's people to ask, and there's people to come to and get the right advice to do that and the right things to do. Ourselves obviously included in that. Like, there's so many times I go to properties and people have got plans to do this and this, and I'm like, you don't need to do all that. You just need to do this and just do this. And they're like, oh, you just saved me an absolute fortune, because I was going to rip my whole kitchen out. I was going to do this, I was going to do that. And I'm like, no, you don't need to do all that. So yeah, anybody that wants any advice, feel free to come to us. We also have people that we know that are brilliant at this, i.e. Linda Martin's really good at like full renovations and things, as she does property flips and that as well. But yeah, definitely ask us any questions that you have. We are happy to answer. And the link to the blog is obviously in the post that we're doing today. So have a read through that. That hopefully what we've went through today has given people a wee bit of an insight, and hopefully some tips that, I don't need to go all out to sell or turn something around and make it more appealing to buyers.
Perfect. Lovely. Great friend of works. Thanks for joining us, Richard.
Thanks
and reach out if anybody needs anything. Have a great remainder day. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.